everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. My name is Shauna and welcome to Shauna's World. Yay! So, how's everybody doing today? Well, I hope good. As you see, I am ready to go and work out. I am sitting in my car and about to go into the gym. And yeah, the weather is beautiful today, and so yeah, I definitely have desire to go and work out. Yes. So didn't get a chance to go in the gym yesterday, but that's okay. Had a lot of things to do. But today I'm there. Today is day 48. Okay, I know I'm really bad with the count, but yeah, I believe I'm on day 48. And how is my weight journey going along? It's going along pretty good. Before I get started, I'm going to eat this delicious granola bar. Yes, it's like an energy bar, and it's blueberry crisp, and it is so delicious. So good. Try not to eat anything usually in the morning before working out, but if you do eat something, then a light cereal or bananas. Bananas are really good. A banana, not bananas. And yeah, these energy bars they're pretty good too. Not all of them are good, but I happen to like that one. It's a blueberry taste. And yeah, so what's been going on? The other day I watched the classic The Shining with my youngest daughter. She's been begging to watch this movie for the longest. And it's so funny because all my kids, I mean, I told you guys, I love horror movies. I'm like the horror girl. I've probably seen everything. And only a certain amount of movies scare me, but sometimes those classics are really scary. I mean, even though this movie came out, what was it, mid 70s, The Shining. And let me look it up real quick because I gotta look it up. But it is like one of my favorite horror movies. Let me look it up real quick. Guys, excuse me. I know I don't have my notes. I should have my notes. Hang on. Let's see. The Shining. That movie came out. I was actually too young when it came out. It came out in 1980. Wow. Okay, I would have thought it came out in the 70s. Okay, it was directed from Stanley Kubrick. However, yeah, it's actually based on the Stephen King book. I love Stephen King. I don't know, back then his books were awesome. Way better than the movies, honestly. I read a few of his books, and yeah, he definitely goes into details and really gives you that imagination, and it's creepy. However, for some strange reason, all my kids are into horror movies, including my youngest. Nobody likes Disney movies. I mean, come on now. What is going on here? However, she's been wanting to watch this movie for the longest. It's either that movie or the what's that movie? Insidious or Annabelle. So she's like, "Well, I want to see The Shining. I want to see The Shining." And so I was like, "Okay." And normally, if my kids want to watch a horror movie, I have to watch it with them because I think it's important, that they get like an explanation of what they're watching, and what they're watching is not true. Okay. However, watching this movie, I mean, it's a little bit fantasy, But on the other side, it's somehow a bit realistic too. I think it actually what takes place in a narcissist's head, because the character, which is the main character, is Jack Nicholson, who plays Jack. I think he does play the Jack in the movie. Oh, where is it? I just had it. Hang on, guys. Don't know why it went away. Yeah, yes, okay. I think I know why. Yes, okay. Yeah, and Jack Nicholson, Shelley Duvall, and the little cute boy, he was so cute, is Danny Lloyd. And Scatman Crothers. Oh, I used to love myself some Scatman Crothers. He was actually one of the first characters who was taken out of the movie, unfortunately. I just love this guy's energy. I pretty much grew up off of him, unfortunately. He died, I think around the 90s, I believe, but that guy was so cool. I mean, his energy was just so, he's just like one of those grandpas you always wanted to have. However, yeah, so she wanted to watch the movie, and I don't know, even to this day, I mean, I've seen a lot of scary movies. I mean, there's a lot of movies that really creep me out, and that movie really creeps me out, because basically it's about a family. The father, Jack Nicholson, gets a job at this hotel, this really famous hotel. This is like way up in the mountains, in the middle of nowhere. The hotel is absolutely beautiful, but it's really up in the mountains. And during the winter time, I mean it snows like crazy. I mean, the hotel basically is closed during the winter time because they have really huge snowstorms. So the people from the hotel, or the what I want to say, okay, however, Jack gets this job, or he gets an offer to basically look after the hotel, the janitor work. He has to live in the hotel with the family. And so as he's being interviewed from one of the managers, and basically the manager tells Jack that the previous guy who had his job basically went crazy and basically got rid of his family. So, he asked him, okay, are you mentally prepared? Because you guys are going to be up here in the middle of nowhere. There's not going to be any way to escape, because when it snows, it's like blizzard. And yeah, so, Jack, of course, is like, yeah, I'm going to take this job, or I'm going to move my family over there, blah, 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 blah. So, yeah. And so they go into this hotel, and everything seems to be okay. And in the meantime, Jack is also in a process. He's a writer, and he's writing this book, or typing this book. That's when typewriters were still big back in the days, if anybody knows what I'm talking about. Old school typewriters. Yes. And so basically he's, typing away. He's taking care of the hotel. And before that scene, yeah, there was Scatman Crothers. When he got the job, before they started, Jack and his wife, which is played, his wife is played by Shelley Duvall. She really played that part well. I mean, she's so cool. They're basically being given a tour of the hotel and all the, main parts of the hotel which they have to take care of, which is, I guess, the kitchen and maintenance area, or just look after to make sure everything is running intact, however. And so Scatman Crothers comes on the scene, and he's basically giving them a tour, Shelley Duvall and the little boy, Danny, a picture, or giving them a tour of the snack area, or the kitchen area where all the goodies are. And so as he's doing that, Scatman Crothers and this little boy, Danny, have like this this moment where they're looking at each other, and somehow Scatman Crothers asked the little boy if he wants to have some hot chocolate or a chocolate ice cream. And so the little boy's looking at him, and so basically they're, what do they call it, telepath, or telepathically talking to one another in their heads. And so, however, later on, so Scatman Crothers, Shelley Duvall goes off with her husband, and they're still touring the hotel, and Scatman Crothers is sitting with the little boy Danny. And so basically, Scatman Crothers asked the little boy if he, heard him talking to him, and how did he know, and basically asked him all these questions, and then Scatman Crothers tells him about that he has a special power when he was younger, that him and his mom or his grandma used to talk to each other telepathically without even moving their mouth. I guess that's the word, telepath, when you basically talk to one another only in the mind. And so the grandmother referred to this not as telepaths, but as The Shining. And so that's how the movie gets the name The Shining, because they apparently have this special power called The Shining, and only a certain few people have this power. And so, and Scatman Crothers is actually going into details and asking him, okay, if you got this power, and do you use it? And the little boy goes and, talks about his parents don't allow him to, use his little powers. He's got this little man in his head who talks to him and tells him about the future. And so Scatman Crothers asked him, do you know about this hotel? And blah, 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 blah. So, anywho, I'm watching this movie with my daughter, and I'm just thinking, okay, I'm thinking actually the movie's somewhat harmless, but there are some scenes in there where it's like quite disturbing, like the scene with the what was that room number where he's not supposed to go into, the little boy Danny, because there were really bad things that happened in there. That's what Scatman Crothers told the little boy, don't go into this room because it's really bad, and there were some ugly things that happened there. And so however, this little boy does go into the room, and there's this woman in there. Okay, go back to the other scene. So the family is basically living in this hotel, and Jack Nicholson is basically writing this book, or typing this book up, and he's typing away. And so Shelley Duvall, his wife, she's so sweet, so innocent, and she goes up to him and was like, can I get you anything, while he's typing away. The little boy, Danny's like on his little big wheel. You guys remember the big wheel? It was a big wheel back then. I don't know. Sure it has this new name now. The big wheel is like this little, it's not a bicycle, but it's like a tricycle, but with 3 big wheels, and he's like zooming through the hotel. And so Shelley Duvall goes and asks her husband if he needs anything, and so he just gets really snappy. First he's like all sarcastic and like, if I need anything, I'll let you know. And then he just gets downright nasty with her and basically tells her that, if I need you, if you see me right here, you don't come and disturb me. Just a total A, right? Just a real A. And so, of course, she's looking like, okay, so I don't know, my daughter kind of looked at me or whatever. And so, I don't know. My point is, there are some scenes in there that are quite, disturbing, but actually really creepy. I mean, that movie's really creepy. I think it's the music. The music really sets the scene, and you just know something's going to happen. It's a movie that's very well done, but just absolutely creeps. I mean, that is one, because it's more psychological, and the fact that you see that Jack is definitely going crazy. later on, Shelley Duvall, his wife, discovers that this book that he's been so hard working on and typing away. I mean, this guy must have done he typed at least 1,000 pages. But then she goes through his book because she starts to see that her husband is very irritable, acting crazy, having dreams of massacre. And so, she's starting, she acts a little bit ditzy, but she's absolutely smart as well as the boy. And so, as he's out and about and whatever, doing something in the hotel, she goes and wants to see what he's been writing about and what he's so, obsessed about. And then she goes and checks out and sees that this guy has been writing the same phrase 1,000, if not more times. I mean, the book is this thick of him typing the same phrase over and over. And then you see that she's like, okay, it is time to get the heck out of there. The problem is they're snowed in, and so it's not going to be so easy to get out of there. However, Jack comes up and is like, oh, I see you notice my book. You like what I see? And she's like, okay, get away from me. You're crazy. That's what she's thinking. Of course, my daughter's looking like, okay. And so, I don't know. I'm happy that I was able to watch the movie with my child. But on the other hand, I'm just thinking that movie was kind of disturbing. And like I said, there were some scenes in there that were really creepy and ugly, but the movie is very psychological, and to me it's about a woman who's basically in an abusive relationship with a narcissist. I would say this guy is straight up a narcissist. He's delusional, crazy, and it was just unfortunate that she had to be in this secluded hotel in order to realize, and him going crazy, that okay, it's time to get up out of there. However, she had a really smart child who had these telepathic gifts or talents, and so he basically saved them to get out of the hotel, or helped them to get out of the hotel, because he basically tricked his dad into going outside, running outside in the cold, and getting into this maze, and basically he could not find his way out of the maze. This maze was humongous. I mean, I don't like those mazes, but I can imagine, I've been to one of these castle parks, and those mazes are very much so real. I don't know to that magnitude of that size, but they are pretty big, and I can imagine if you don't know your way out, it can be quite creepy, and if it's cold out there, you could possibly freeze yourself to death, because that's basically how the movie ended, that Jack Winley, in the end, died because he was not able to get out of this maze, and he froze to death. And later on, the mother and the son were able to escape, but the only reason they were able to escape is because the Scatman Crothers guy, who was living somewhere else, had this vision that the family was in trouble, and so he decided to take it upon himself to go and take a plane and go up in the snow area to go and save this family. Unfortunately, like I said, he was taken out of the world from Crazy Jack. And so because he was able to get up there, he had one of those snow vehicles, or those snow plower, which you need in order to drive up to this hotel in order to get out. Shelley and her child were able to escape through this vehicle. So and that's how the movie ended. It's a good movie, but I really find that movie's very disturbing, and even though it came out in the 80s, it just lets me know, wow. Then my daughter was like, Mom, can I sleep with you? And I'm like, excuse me, you wanted to watch this movie. I warned you. I told you this movie is scary, and like I said, it's not that it's scary because the fact that there are scenes that are gruesome, but it's just psychologically scary. You know, psychologically it's scary because you just, like I said, you see this guy going crazy, you know, and yeah, I think that's the part that's really scary. Yes. I guess most people would be like, how could you let your child watch those movies? But I prefer my child watch those movies with me than for them to watch them by themselves and try to have to work it out, like what happened, you know, because I was one of those kids who watched a lot of crazy, weird movies, and was just like trying to work it out. Although the movies that I watched were like nothing compared to some of those really sick movies that were out that came out back in the 70s. And wow, I'm shocked, like some of the movies that were directed back then. I found this other channel while I was putting on my makeup this morning, and this guy was talking about, his whole channel is based on like all the sick and disturbing movies that are out there, and I had no idea what kind of movies that were made back in the 70s. I mean, ooh. However, I prefer to watch a scary movie with my kids so I can, explain to them what's going on, and so they'll know, because I've seen a lot of movies, I know what the scenes are, and I know, okay, I can watch this with my child and explain to them, what the deal is. But yeah, that movie's creepy. I would say back in those days, Stephen King did a lot of creepy movies. In the 90s, or like coming towards the late 90s, his movies started to go mainstream and stupid. I mean, I watched, I watched all Stephen King's movies. I've seen Carrie, which is a really good movie, also very creepy. Also, it was fantasy, because it was also, this girl had powers, like witch powers, but it was creepy. I watched Christine. Christine was also a very creepy. Cujo. I mean, after watching Cujo, I hated that dog, the Saint Bernardino. Although those dogs are so sweet. They're so loving. I mean, if you've been to Switzerland, I mean, those dogs are cute. I mean, they actually serve a purpose. I mean, they really do run around with these little jugs of rum. I mean, they're cute dogs. They're actually sheep dogs, very big. But after watching Cujo, I was done. Yeah, I mean, those movies back then were quite disturbing. I mean, and I would say it's also like the music. The music back then was like real creepy, I mean, even the other day I watched Jaws with my kids, and Jaws was like, that's also creepy, But however, I would prefer to watch the movies with my child and be able to explain to them, okay, this is what you've watched. The scene, if I know there's going to be a disturbing scene coming up, then I would prefer them to put their hands over their eyes. Now, mind you, my son is one of those type of persons. I don't know how he does it, but he manages to sometimes sneak his phone and then watch creepy movies by himself, and then comes back and be like, Mom, I watched this movie. And I'm like, how could you? I mean, I don't care how awake I try to stay awake. My son somehow has access to creepy movies. And he watched the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which I find extremely disturbing. And that movie, again, also came out in the 70s. And it was a true story. So they've remade that movie so many times. I just the other day watched the renewed version of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and just absolutely disturbing. But like I said, I find the original even more disturbing. Yeah, but I'm like, okay, that's your penalty when you watch these movies by yourself and I'm not there to help you and walk you through your experience. Then I'm sorry, no matter how we try to protect our kids, they're going to find a way, you know. So I know people are like, yeah, but you can get these type of locks. Man, you'll find a way. I mean, really, kids will find their way. If they really want to see something, do something, they will find their way. Like I said, I think it's better to, you know, be like, okay, you can watch this movie, then let's watch it together. I mean, of course, there are some things where you're just like, okay, that is off limits, okay? Off limits. But then I won't go into details, and I will never disclose them, you know, which are the ones that are just like totally off limits. And that even goes to certain cartoons, guys, where I'm just like, okay. Yeah, however, all right, so yeah, I thought I would share that. Yeah, I watched that movie, and like I said, it was, yeah, that movie creeped me out. I don't know, that movie. Yeah, and Pet Sematary was another one. Yeah, Stephen King was the man back in those days. I mean, he really made his movies were really good. I mean, not only were the books good, but also the movies. But today, he just went totally mainstream, and I don't know. I just think his stuff became extremely cheesy and not so good. But yeah. And it's so funny because after, you know, a lot of his movies took place in Maine, which is actually where he's from. And I really love that state. Maine is so beautiful. And I'm just thinking, how can a guy who grew up in Maine, and I don't know if you guys ever been to Maine, but it's really beautiful up there. New England states are just in general beautiful. But I'm thinking, how could a guy who comes from such a really nice area have so many disturbing ideas and thoughts and stories in his head? It just makes you wonder. I mean, you're looking at these beautiful, serene settings, and then, but in your head, you're coming up with all these weird, you know, creepy, gory, just nasty movies, you know, in your head. Although, not, I mean, they weren't that gory, but just creepy, you know, just absolutely creepy, scary. But anyway, just shows you some of the mind settings of people. But however, it made him famous. Okay, guys, I've been rambling enough. I'm gonna go in and work out. 27 minutes. I know. Okay, I'm going. I'm going to finish eating this delicious bar. So see you guys in the gym. Oh, and if you liked the video, give it a thumbs up. And yeah, I would like to know, what's been your experience with your kids? Do you guys watch scary movies, or are there things where you prefer, where you're like, okay, I prefer to do it with my child than for them to go out there and venture and see it on their own? Yeah, I would like to hear your comments, and yeah, let's get the conversation going, guys. And yeah, if you liked the video, give it a thumbs up. And if you'd like to hear more from me, subscribe. Okay, guys, I'm out of here. Oh, don't go nowhere. See you in a bit. Bye. Ooh.